Hi, I'm Lana and I'm here with Jordan, and we're here to talk about what it's like to be a male nursery nurse in a female-dominated environment such as childcare and obviously our nurseries.
I'm Jordan. I work at White House, Elveston, the senior of the preschool unit.
So obviously we haven't got that many male staff members across our nurseries at the moment. You know, you are sort of one of, I think, 3 that we have at the moment.
Yes, unfortunately so, yeah.
We have had others in the past that have obviously come and gone, but as it stands at the minute, you know, we've got sort of 3 across the sites. Sort of to start with, like, how did you sort of get into childcare? Like, is it something you knew you wanted to do from a young age, or have you sort of grown into it?
I think I've always liked the aspect of caring in general. Ever since, I think secondary school, and then primarily in sixth form, I kind of decided to do elderly care or childcare. I remember saying that to my friends at the time.
Yeah.
And so I went into elderly care and did that for a year, loved it, but wanted to go somewhere else for my own reasons, and so ended up at White House, applied for that, and started at White House 3 years ago now. So it's always been something I've been very interested in doing. Caring is just, I suppose, the one thing I'm very good at, so I'll go for it.
So I think you actually completed your qualification with us. Did you actually qualify with us?
Yes.
Obviously you did, didn't you? So is that sort of process something that you enjoyed, like doing the actual with ourselves?
It was good. It was it was interesting and enlightening. Kind of almost good to be back into the educational side of it after so many years of not being in that. But it was good, and it was good working in the job while learning. You know, so many people go to uni or something, which is brilliant, but you get an experience while being there, which I think.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good thing about apprenticeships, isn't it? You get in the best of both worlds with your education and obviously being able to put it into practice on a day-to-day basis as well. Would you say that it was quite an easy process for you to get into, sort of completing your education through that? Did you feel like you were sort of faced with any challenges, or was there any sort of negatives that put you off, that sort of thing? Or
no, I was well aware that males, again, aren't prominent in nurseries and even schools, but obviously nurseries primarily, and so I was aware of that, and it did go through my mind thinking, I'm going to be a dude, this is strange, but I just went for it, and at times I've been a bit unsure, but no, I've been very fortunate in that I personally haven't faced many negatives regarding my gender.
I think that's really good that you've got such a positive experience, really, with the whole process of you going through your education and getting into a setting, and I guess sort of working with staff members that make you feel comfortable in that role as well. Because I can imagine that, you know, because we have got such a small number of male nursery nurses and males working in the whole industry, that some of them might not have had such a positive experience.
No.
Which is awful to think about, really. You know, in this day and age, it's awful to think that somebody would have a negative experience getting into the sort of career they want to. Children also benefit a lot from, I mean, I'm sure you've had lots of sort of experiences with different children and the relationships that you've had with individuals. And
definitely, they benefit immensely from having a male there, because obviously a lot of nurseries don't have a male full stop, and then also got to take into account that a lot of children don't have a male role model in their lives, or if they do, it's just the one, or it's there's not much. So having that one more additional role model, I think the benefits are very understated.
We were talking earlier about sort of the differences between doing that same job role as a nursery nurse, as a male and as a female. You know, there's not necessarily anything that a male couldn't bring to that role or a female couldn't bring to that role, but there may be certain things, certain aspects that a male or a female may find easier or may find that comes to them more naturally. I was doing some reading up about sort of statistics and things to do with males in the job role a few days ago, and it was interesting to see that a lot of what children may get from a male nursery nurse is actually the style of play and things that they might get involved in. So, you know, typically your sports, your rough and tumble, and, you know, boys being boys sort of thing is probably something that is easier for somebody like yourself to relate to and
definitely
get involved in.
They pick up on the most minute things, so like myself having a big interest in basketball, I bring in the energy and that sort of activities each day.
Yeah.
It's nice to involve it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's great that, you have that personal interest that you can bring into nursery and experience with the children, whereas might be something that maybe a female just wouldn't think to do. It's not one of their interests.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're particularly used to or experienced in. So, I mean, that in itself is something that those children might not have had as much of an experience of if it wasn't for you. So that's really good to hear, I think. Talking to the children about different job roles and stereotypes of gender within those job roles and things. So I would think, when they sort of get to preschool ages, that's something that you could talk to about with the children and about getting into different jobs and things.
Definitely, because partly UIFS is covering different occupations and ways of life. And again, I don't imagine most people think of it like this. It's just kind of it goes to one side. But when talking to the children as a male, I can then go, well, we can be a nurse. We can be, because primarily the pictures are of females.
Yeah.
I know, well, we can be a nurse. I can be a nursery nurse. I can be whatever the female-dominated area is.
Yeah.
And it challenges that for the children, and then they come round to that way of thinking over time.
And it's great to see that and to think that they will grow up thinking, actually, I can do that job. It doesn't mean that just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't be a mechanic or,
exactly.
A firefighter or something else that would normally be a male industry. So that's really good. I think bringing that in from an early age is really good, and for children to be able to share that together is great. Do you find that you also are able to relate maybe with the dads a little bit more?
There's definitely like a unique rapport there.
Yeah.
I think just a natural male-to-male conversation is different from female to male or female to female.
Yeah.
I find it hard to kind of explain. It's this natural rapport with me and another father. It's
just like it would be if you were talking to your friend, or you might talk differently to your friend as you would do than you would, your sister's friend or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah,
it feels like quite laid back from the off. I know I've heard of certain male practitioners struggling with certain parents because parents have got that kind of this idea in the head that they're a male, so I'm a bit wary.
Yeah.
But I've never had that, and again, with both fathers, mothers, grandmas, granddads, they've all been very, very kind towards me, and it has been very nice to kind of see that shock, that man, and then just naturally build on that relationship over time.
Yeah.
There's no difference now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and actually you don't get that shock probably as much. It's just, Jordan's here today,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. And it must be really valuable for the males as well. Like you mentioned, a lot of the families we might be a single parent household, where the male is doing a lot of the dropping off, the picking up, the parents' evenings, the stay and plays, that sort of thing. And I think for them to be able to come into that environment where there's so many children and so many female staff, and sometimes I can imagine that might be a little bit daunting for some males, to be able to see a relatable person there that you might have had a bit of a conversation with before must make them feel a bit better.
I imagine so, yes. Again, just when talking to them, it feels very natural, very, very thankful for that. Just seems to get on very well with a lot of the dads that are in our setting.
So going back to sort of how you got into childcare and your sort of journey through your career, is there anything that you think that may have benefited you? Is there anything, or not necessarily you in particular, any young males that are considering a career in childcare or in the early years or to be a teacher? Do you think that you would have any advice to give them, or any words or anything that would encourage them?
Just to go for it and don't let your gender be a factor, because that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't get why in 2019 it's still a taboo issue. It shouldn't matter,
Yeah, definitely.
We all have our role to play. Males can offer something that females can't, just like it's the other way around. If you want to do it, that is the one reservation you should not have. If anything, being a male is almost like a bonus.
Yeah,
another way.
It's like a selling point of yourself, isn't it? Yeah.
Let's go. So again, if you are a male looking into getting childcare, especially early years, time in 3 to 5, again, don't let it be a factor. Just know that you're going to make such an impact, such a positive impact on these children's lives, because they may not have that male role model, like we've said, and they, again, may not have many males in their life at all. you are providing such a big thing for these children. So when they grow up, a male isn't an issue anymore because they've already had this one male look after them for 2 years of their life, if not more.
And they've had that positive male relationship, haven't they, from an early age? And I know a lot of research has shown that the relationships that children have with adults in their early years of life do tend to build sort of a template for the relationships that they might have for later in life. You know, so you might find that those children that have got healthy relationships with lots of different adults and lots of different children are more likely to have better, stronger, healthier relationships later in life, which is great. So, you know, there definitely isn't any negatives, I don't think, to come from that, from having that diverse, you know, environment from the early years. Having sort of chosen this career from an early age, do you think that there will be anything that might put off somebody else from doing the same to you? You know, you said that you've had quite a positive experience, you know, going through the motions of getting to where you are, but, you know, things might not have been as straightforward for somebody else. Do you think there might be something, or there could be things that might put somebody off doing what you've done?
I think some people are more inclined to listen to things that are said, and that still listen to the somewhat prejudice that is still here. And again, honestly, don't listen to it at all. I think people might then. I think as a male, I think males also tend to sometimes stereotype themselves, and I've got to be a man, and you know, it's not about that at all. Manly is a very subjective term. You need to do what is best for you. You need to do what you know you are good at. There's no point trying to pursue a career as a mechanic.
Because you think it's manly.
If you are a rubbish mechanic, if I did that, I'd be sacked in 2 minutes. Just do what you're good at, and if it is working with children, there you go. You've found what you're meant to do.
Or at least give it a go in the first place, you know. And then if it turns out not to be the thing for you, then it's not.
At least you know, peace of mind.
Yeah, but like you say, just don't let all the prejudice and the taboo and everything around it be the reason that you don't go ahead with that. As
we were saying, it's 2019. Things have changed. It doesn't have to be like that anymore.
No, 3 males in our nurseries isn't enough, and you know it's. There just aren't that many people knocking on the door wanting the job, you know, males coming through with the process that you've come through and getting the qualification. You know, there needs to be more males that have that interest, you know, and I dread to think how many males might have wanted that career or thought about it but been put off and have ended up in a garage or wherever else because they think it's what they should do. You know, so we need to make sure those people are going ahead with the career that they want and are pursuing it for themselves. Really.
I have heard as well, I've read up on certain things on the internet and on newspaper and just over the years that there's still parents even now that don't want males to change their child's nappy, for example, or don't want males to do the more personal care. And I don't know, again, I would never repeat myself, but it's 2019, we're trying to get past these barriers. I kind of get the right to be reserved, but you need to also be open to change. You need to be open to the fact that, yes, I'm a male, but it doesn't mean anything. I'm a male. You're a female, I'm a male. That is the difference. It doesn't have to mean
that's where it
all
ends,
these things
really?
that are flying around in your head.
And like you say, it's 2019 and this is the age where people are much more accepted for who you are and what you are and where you've come from and what your background is and all that sort of thing. But whilst everybody is so accepting of those sorts of things and attitudes have changed on that sort of thing, it's still people have these reservations about gender stereotypes in job roles and I was talking to somebody earlier about job roles in gender, so sort of moving away from the nursery specific, but like flip it on its head and looking at females, so females in a male dominated industry like you mechanics, managerial roles, many years ago managerial roles were just not for women. There wasn't a lot of women in those roles, and you had your men in suits that were in the board meetings, and for a woman to be sat amongst those was just not really how it was. No, but look how far these have come along now, and some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world are women.
Exactly.
Olympians, multi-medal winning Olympians are women, and still little things like this with males coming into nursery is still just not quite getting there, is it?
Like you said, 2% of early years practitioners are male.
Yeah.
All these stereotypes and taboos are being challenged and changed, and yet this one still isn't. And 2% isn't enough of a change.
And it makes you wonder why that is. What is the main reason why it is 2%? You know, why is it not 22%? Is childcare being sort of pulled away from them? Are there certain
Being made aware of it.
Yeah, you know, and being taught about how they can make a difference to that industry and how important it is that they do that.
Yeah, having more males will benefit childcare in numerous ways, and I can't really think of a negative. It'll have a benefit on the staff opinions, and there's more reasons. There's more discussion there.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for the children, as we've discussed. It's beneficial for the parents. It's beneficial for the males, because I'm like, yes, there's another dude I want to talk to.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I can't think of any negatives as to why, as if there was more males in the childcare sector, why that would be a negative. I can't think of any.
You know, and it's like we discussed before about the fact that there are so many more male teachers in teaching roles now, and it's that gap between being in the early years and getting to be a teacher. You know, why is there such a massive gap between the 2% of early years male childcare practitioners, but yet there is such a high percentage of male teachers? You know, why is that? You know, why is that gap there? You know, and there should be something somewhere that somebody could be doing to change that and to make sure it's not 2% for the next 10 years like it has been. So this has been myself, Lana and Jordan discussing what it's like to be a male nursery nurse on the White House Nursery's Big Babble.